May 2024. I want to welcome our guests. I'd like to ask if Commissioner Gilbert would lead us in a prayer before we start, and then Commissioner Blake, if you'd lead us in the pledge, that'd be fantastic.
Father God, we just thank you for the day that you allow us to. Lord, lead us and direct us the way that you have us to go, God. I just watch over each person here and protect them, God. Safe from all harm. Just preside over this meeting. Let it go the way that you go. Lord, we just love you. Thank you for everything that you've done, and the things.
Amen.
And pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Again, welcome to our committee members and those that were able to be here. Also welcome our chairman, Chairman Cry, members of the mayor's office. Mr. Lewis, thank you for being here as well. I want to move through our agenda pretty quickly, and the first is approval of the minutes for the March 3rd. We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, very good. Thank you very much. We'll move into our agenda item, which is a presentation from Cleveland Utilities. We appreciate Mr. Henderson, Mr. Sennett being here today. I'd like to recognize them and allow them to present. We'll address questions and comments throughout the presentation, if that's okay with you guys. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
It's always an honor to be here with you all today, and we thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit of excitement that Cleveland Utilities has going on for our organization. That you all are keenly aware will also hopefully benefit the county as a whole as well. Cleveland Utilities has been embarking on the idea of fiber for quite some time. I think most of you guys have probably been in different presentations over the course of numerous years in the past about conversation about fiber and the opportunities that are there. We made the decision, as you know, about a year ago to enter into the fiber business, creating a new division for Cleveland Utilities. To say the least, we're super excited about it, and I've said this in numerous presentations. It's moving at light speed, no pun intended. So it's going very quickly. We've had a lot of discussion with some of your members over the course of the year about opportunities where that will be available in the county. As you all know, state law prohibits us from entering outside the electric footprint of Cleveland Utilities, but we do enter into the county outside the city proper limits, so to speak. And in those cases, we'll be providing fiber there as well. That will lend opportunities for us to partner with the county very, very closely in that respect, which is a little bit new for us. You guys have been privileged to water services for many, many years. You know how far we extend water, and that's been something that's very common to you all in the past. So this is kind of a new endeavor, and we're super excited about it. Let me just say, from my perspective as CEO for the organization, we felt like entering the fiber business for us was an opportunity that we could not afford to pass up at this particular stage in the utility industry as a whole. We looked at it going back, Marshall, I would say it's been probably 10, 15 years at least at different points in time. But it really was at the point where we felt like it was necessary for us to move forward. And fortunately for us, it was a good time for us to move forward. Financially, it was a good time, and we felt like it was more of a benefit for us to move in the direction of providing fiber for customers than to not make that step. And it's a big step for us, and certainly we have been going at break speeds to get it done. I do have the opportunity to introduce to you all today Mr. Sennett. He is actually our CFO for the organization. He has been heavily involved in the fiber project from day one, both from the financial side and, fortunately for us, technology-wise, he's been a tremendous benefit as well. Walt Vineyard could not be with us today. Walt is our Vice President over the Information Technology Department, and he's our Executive VP on my staff. Walt was not able to be here with us today, but he is also very heavily involved. So I have two vice presidents that are leading this in full charge. Marshall will share with you the information about who we're partnering with the design and the build out and kind of where we're at in the process currently. And I think you all are going to be pleasantly surprised at some of the things you're going to hear from Mr. Dennett in regards to where we're at now and how quickly we're actually going to be signing up customers. So with that, Marshall, I'm going to let you kind of take the lead in this respect. If I have any questions from you all, I would love for this to be very conversational. So as we make points and kind of see what's unfolding before your eyes, just take a pause and ask us questions. We'll tag team that in that respect. So again, thank you for letting us be here and share from the heart what it looks like for us as an organization.
Commissioner Blake.
Before you get started, I know you got a presentation, and if in your presentation you're going to talk about billing or anything, that's something I want to hone in on. Specifically, someone is billed, will their internet bill be included in all the other things that a Cleveland utility bill would? I know it may be in your presentation there. If not, we can chat about it later.
Sure. And to go ahead and address that question, it's not specifically in there. We are going to bill this on a separate invoice. So it's going to allow customers the opportunity to do something they've never been able to do with Cleveland Utilities, and it's choose their due date. The way we bill for utility services today, your due date is based on where you live in our community. But with fiber, we're going to allow you the opportunity to choose the due date that fits best with your cash flow perspective. So if a customer is used to getting their utility bill at the first of the month and they would rather pay their internet bill middle of the month or the end of the month, we're going to give them that flexibility. And so that's kind of, this is the first step in Cleveland Utilities opening that door and trying to provide greater levels of customer service and flexibility for what our customers come to know from us. So
Will they have the option to consolidate their bill, or is it it's determined that it's going to be?
It has been determined it's going to be 2. And what we can do, though, is we can align those due dates. So if customers want to write one check, we're able to process that one payment and take care of both bills.
Thank you.
And
Commissioner Gilbert.
Is there a reason that you're doing that, splitting them up like that?
yes, sir. So as part of the study that we did when we looked at bringing fiber to Cleveland, we asked a few questions from our customers. And one of those was, what would be your preference? And it was overwhelmingly that they would rather see those be separated bills. Unfortunately, in our community, we do deal with cash flow issues for a lot of our customers. And so if you were to combine that utility bill with that internet bill, asking them to pay all of that at one point in the month is sometimes difficult. And so we listened to that feedback and we made the decision that we're going to make these 2 separate bills. They'll actually look distinctly different. So it'll help the customer differentiate between I'm paying my utility bill and I'm paying my internet bill.
So it is 2 different entities, right?
It is one entity. So Cleveland Utilities Authority is the overarching entity, and then we'll have 4 divisions. We just happen to bill 3 of those on the same bill: electric, water, wastewater, and then your fiber and telephone services will be on a separate bill. But we will allow the customer, if they want the same due date and they want to just write one check or make one credit card payment, we'll give them that opportunity to do that. And I'll reiterate, as Tim said, we appreciate the opportunity to be here and to have this discussion with the county. As you all are aware, in the last year, we've had a great partnership, especially with the ARPA funds for the water extensions. Those projects are well underway today, and we appreciate that partnership with the county and your willingness to invest in the community and to see these extensions. And so we're fortunate to be here, and we appreciate your time. What we thought would be good, though, is to give you kind of a brief overview of where we are today. And so today actually marks the day that we have created the connection, the network connection, for redundancy. So when it comes to internet, it's very important that you have 2 or multiple paths on how you serve your customers. Because as we all know, storms happen, trees fall, and lines get broken. But with the internet, we want to make sure that we have redundant ways of feeding our customers. Very similar to how we do it with the electric system, but a little bit distinctly different, because the internet lives in server farms, and those live in different areas of the country. And so what we've done is, although we're outside of our footprint, we've ensured we've got redundant paths back into Cleveland for how we get internet service. And today marks the date we have tied those together. So we've tested continuity today, and we have both of these connections tied in to the system, and we feel very confident that we're on the right path. We're also at the point now where most of the design work for the entire system, so that's every electric meter, has been designed. We're still working through a few make-ready solutions, and what that means is where we're going out to the field and making room on the poles to get the fiber installed. The last part there is that we actually began construction in the first, what I would call fiber to the home area. What that means is that we're installing fiber optic cable all the way to the curb in front of homes today. That's an important distinction, because when that part is complete, and now that our redundant connection is there, we'll be ready to serve customers. And so, as some of you may have seen in the last few weeks, we've had lots of crews out working. We wanted to make sure, a point that this committee was aware, all of those contractors that are working on our behalf are going to be identified. They'll all have a Cleveland Utilities contractor logo on their vehicle, and they'll have an identification letter with that crew. So if anyone has any questions about, is this a Cleveland Utilities contractor, and are they supposed to be here, they can easily identify themselves.
Can
Yes,
you
sir.
make that clear that that's what's going to be in the paper? Make sure people knows that that's on their truck and
Yes,
that's
sir.
who that is.
Yes, sir. And we're also making it an active campaign to make sure on social media that we are presenting this information to the public. So we'll identify the areas that we're working in kind of on a weekly basis, and we post those to our social media pages. So if we have customers or citizens that aren't following our Facebook or our Instagram account, we would encourage them to do that, because that's where this information lives. I also wanted to put on the screen, as we presented a couple of weeks ago at City Council, and as we made official this week, we have presented our offerings for what we're going to offer for internet and telephone services. I've only presented the internet prices here on the screen for you, but the best part about this is that what we have seen in the market is that we feel we are very competitively priced from a standard offering of what customers are expecting. The difference, though, is that if you look at our offerings comparative to our competitors in the market, there's not any competitor that can reach these metrics. The biggest distinction between fiber and what we are used to seeing in internet today is that fiber has the same communication ability both to you and to who you're talking to. And so that makes a distinct difference for those that are working at home, those that are running small businesses. They don't see any type of latency or slowdown when they need to upload something to the cloud or when they need to jump on a video call for work. You're going to have that exact same speed, both directions, 24/7, 365. The other major difference in our network is that we are single fiber from our office all the way to the customer. You will never share with your neighbor, meaning on a snow day or on a day when schools are called off or in the summer and everyone's at home. You're not going to get those buffering issues on our network. And that's by design. We designed it that way so that we could ensure that we provided the highest level of service that the customers come to expect. And we bring that same level of service not only to our residential, but to our commercial customers as well. There's a little bit of difference in the commercial space because we do provide a greater level of service. So we allocate greater amounts of bandwidth to those packages, and it's to make sure that the businesses never see that they're ever lacking in their ability to reach the internet. So we have also committed in this plan, although we're only going to be selling telephone and internet services, we've said that we're also going to be assisting our customers with video. One of the top questions we get from customers that call in, especially if they're with one of our competitors today, because they've bundled all those services together. As you all are aware, streaming services have become extremely prevalent in our society. Most people are very familiar with having a YouTube TV or a Hulu or any number of options. And so what we've committed to is, although we're not going to be selling television services, we are going to assist customers with the ability to convert to one of those streaming services. So if they have questions about how to log into their Fire Stick or how to get a YouTube TV account set up, we're going to have staff that's going to be able to assist that customer with making that switch. And we feel confident about that because the path that they need to get to those services rides across the internet. And where we feel we have a superior product, we want to make sure that they know they can utilize that product for that service. So the next question we always get is when, right? When will it be available in my area? When can I take this service? The goal right now is that we expect to connect our first customer. That's in the area that we're working today, which is off of the Rolling Hills and the Freewell Road area. We had to start somewhere. And with us taking services there at our main office on Guthrie, this is the most logical place because of distance, the closest to the office. But what we expect is that by, I would say August, that's kind of a tentative goal in mind, that we will be able to launch to where customers can sign up for service and expect to receive internet and telephone services from Cleveland Utilities. The goal also is that this is an 18-month build out. So our goal was to start in March, and we met that goal. So we began hanging fiber in March the 11th, and we have continued to hang fiber every day up till this point. And so we've built probably, I would say, 40% of the backbone to date. And with the construction in the neighborhoods beginning this week, we're well on target at this point. So we really hope by the end of 2025, the first part of 2026, every customer that is on Cleveland Utilities electric system will have the opportunity to sign up for services if they wish.
Mr. Tennant, would you spoke about social media, and I was able to last week use social media to go on and answer this very question for my address. Would you speak to that, what a customer could do at this point in time?
Absolutely. So we launched this just this week. Thank you for that question. You just knew. We actually launched the new section of our website on Monday. It came up about lunch, and you can go to fiber.clevelandutilities.com. We made one social media post on Monday about launching that, and that's all we've done since that date, and we're over 300 pre-registrations today. And if you go look, there's a question on there, how did you hear about us? And 90% of those are through that Facebook post. So we appreciate all those that have shared that post, all those that have interacted. If you go read the comments, overwhelmingly the support is positive. We do have a few that have made comments about the pricing, and we are going to make sure that we're very transparent about pricing. We're not running gimmicks. We're not giving your neighbor a better price than we're giving you. And so, although our competitors may offer a very low price for 2, 3, 6, 12 months, the unfortunate part is when you get down to it and you pay the bill and you continue to pay the bill, it'll be vastly more expensive than we're at today. And so we just want to make sure that our customers are informed and they understand why ours is different. We have always said at Cleveland Utilities, we want to treat our customers exactly the same. And so we're going to do the same thing with fiber. But to Commissioner Collins' question, you can actually go to fiber.clevelandutilities.com. You will see this landing page here. You can enter your address. You can enter in your zip code, and then you'll select if you would like this for a residential or for a business. It'll take you to a screen where it'll tell you if services are going to be available. So as long as you're a Cleveland Utilities electric customer, you will have the opportunity to sign up for fiber. And if you are, then it will tell you when we anticipate to be in your area. So right now it's in quarters. So the soonest quarter we have right now is third quarter of 2024. But we anticipate that by the first quarter of 2026, we will have reached every electric customer and have the ability. This is also vitally important for those customers that are interested in the service, because these are the customers that we will reach out to first when an area becomes available to schedule their install first. So we do encourage folks that are interested in taking the service to pre-register. It's not guaranteeing, it's not a contract you're signing that you have to take it. It's just going to kind of put you at the front of the line, because what we are anticipating is when we open areas up for service to be available, there will be some backlogs. And because we are building a brand new system, we are having to run brand new fiber from every home to the curb. And we want to make sure that those that want to be early adopters and want to be at the front of the line to get this service, that we have them registered. It also helps us with understanding where's the demand, making sure that we ensure we have the right equipment in place. We have all of the material that we need to serve that area. So we would encourage any customer to come and sign up. And as I iterated before, for those that don't follow our social media pages, we would encourage them to go to our Facebook and Instagram page. This is where we'll post almost all of our updates. The nice thing about pre-registering also allows us to then communicate with you. So if you've pre-registered with us, you've gotten an email. That email tells you when we expect services in your area. But that's also how we're going to communicate with you as a customer going forward. We anticipate to send success stories to customers as we go along, and we want them to stay informed. So we want to keep them in the loop as how construction is going. And if we've run into any issues, we want to be transparent about that, and we want to make sure the customer understands where we are. And so this is the end of just the overview of where we are today. I do think that it would be good for us to talk about what can Cleveland Utilities do to assist the county. And so as I've talked about, we are building a very diversified network. This network spans the entire footprint of our electric system, which in turn lays over very well on top of the county's footprint. So what we've committed to doing is providing the county with an opportunity to use that network. And what we have said is that because the county has multiple locations across the county that they have connected today by multiple internet connections, we can help consolidate that down because our network is completely interconnected. We can provide you one internet connection and then disperse that across our network. And what that does is it's an efficiency for the county. Instead of paying 15 internet bills every month, you could pay one, which, as you saw on the screen, I guarantee is drastically less than what the county pays today for internet services. The other component is that it will then allow you to have redundant connections between all of your buildings. So from here at the courthouse to the sheriff's office to the Bradley County Healthcare on Peerless, you would have those connections to allow your network to then operate much more efficiently. It would also allow you the opportunity to co-locate data storage. So in today's world, where your server lives is important, but more important, where is the backup of that server? And because of the way we've built the network, we allow the opportunity for those servers to be dispersed across our network. And by the nature of building a system that needs to be redundant, we have facilities in place where co-locates of servers could happen. So for this committee, we obviously know that's an important aspect of what the county does, and being able to be resilient and be there when things happen, because we know storms will come, we know servers will crash, we know hard drives will have issues. What we're hoping to do is to help become that path for the county, and we would really like to help facilitate that in any way possible. As Tim talked about, our goal with this project was to see our community flourish. And if we can use this network to help facilitate that for any of our community, we want to be there to help with that.
Commissioner Blake?
Excuse me. Thank you for your presentation. A couple really super quick questions. And what you're offering, you're basically an internet connection, and not to get too technical, that basically is an IP address at your router level, and then it's up to you to have your home Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. That's pretty common already. So you're not going to sell on-demand movies and stuff like that. You are going to offer, I guess, IP telephony, so a phone that connect into the network. So you're basically, your two offerings are traditional internet connection, and you can bring up your browser and go wherever you want, and telephony. What about email addresses? So I can have MylanBlake.Cleveland Utility, or not, well, that's probably your company one, but any kind of domain that
Correct.
you help me manage, so if I forget my password or what have you, that your other ISPs seem to offer as well.
That's correct. So we are working right now to establish the domain where those email addresses would reside for the customers that do want to establish an email address through our hosted domain service. It would run just like your Outlook client does today, but you would go to more than likely be Cleveland Fiber would be the domain. We're still trying to work to secure that, but that's.
But you will be offering, if I wanted to use your domain, one of my email addresses, they'll offer that at some point in time.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So, this is obviously a huge endeavor, great investment by management and board and all that kind of stuff. Starting out over in the Rolling Hills area, right? But have you had any pilots? I mean, something, been in the project business, whatever, we usually would pilot something, kick the tires a little bit, find out where we need to tweak and all that. I was just wondering if you've had that opportunity.
So the pilot program has not began just yet. The pilot customers will actually be in the Rolling Hills, Free Will Road area. The goal is to have that network actually, everything spliced together and everything ready to serve a customer by the end of June. That would then give us the opportunity to perform testing throughout the month of July and August.
Two more. I know I'm hitting you up, but these
No,
are quick
good.
before we get into that other piece over there. How does how are you guys going to handle, one of the things we work with the city council on, obviously, and we've got it coming up here next week and in the future, is annexation. How is your internet connection is city annexes, whatever your responsibilities are?
Yes, sir. And so as we've made it a commitment to those that become city residents, we believe that they should have city services. And Cleveland Electric is part of that. And the easiest way to think about this is where Cleveland Electric goes, so will Cleveland
Right,
Fiber.
so that answers that. Annexation means
Yep.
that they could be a potential customer for internet.
That's correct.
Last question, you said that you're going to help residents or and your customers with basic stuff I consider, like how do you set up Netflix and all that kind of stuff. Most of, say a large percentage of people who come over are probably going to have an ISP already, a current ISP, so they're going to have to transition from Acme ISP over to you. Are you going to be able to assist with how to get them from current ISP to yours?
Yes, sir. We are actually formulating that final procedure now, and it'd almost be like a checklist that we would give the customer when they just decide they want to sign up with us. It would help them to walk through all the steps of contacting their previous ISP, confirming they've returned the equipment that ISP may own. We want to make sure this is a seamless process so that the customer doesn't get surprised by their former ISP. We really do want to make sure it's a seamless transition for them.
Well, the thing that I've seen happen is that they didn't exactly cut off the current ISP. They're still getting billed from that. Then they're really on yours, they're getting double billed. It gets, you know what I'm saying? So
It happens.
You've got a plan, and that's the main thing.
That's correct. It happens more than we
I
wish
said that
it
was
did.
the last question, but we're all friends and family here. But you guys will remember this. You have is the internet service product you remember, is it under the same kind of rules? We'll just use that word. A couple years we had a little issue with respect to the senior center was charged one rate because they were in county. And like you alluded to, you have certain clients or customers that are county residents that you're servicing. You have city, obviously. Mm-hmm. And is there, and I just saw your rate plan, there's no differentiating between, like you had to do, I understand that was, we worked through that, but there's no differentiating between a city resident rate and a county resident rate like there was.
No, sir. Yeah, and so actually that
was an electric issue, I think, right?
That was a water and wastewater issue.
I'm sorry, yeah.
The electric follows that same strategy. So we do not differentiate between a city or a county resident when it comes to
I just think
electric
it's
service.
important to get ahead of that so that we know going in.
And the same will be for fiber. Your city residents and your county residents will not pay a different rate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Blake. Commissioner Gilbert?
First thing I want to thank you for being here. And Cleveland Utilities has came a long way from since I was a kid. It's amazing. But you asked a question a while ago, what could Cleveland Utilities do for the county? And my answer would be fiber, water, electricity, sewer, which is wastewater. That's what you're calling wastewater, right? Sewer. And I think that would be a huge start. And I'm kind of understanding the whole thing about keeping them separate now because they will be different entities. Mm-hmm. But that's why you can't bill them all at the same. But if Cleveland Utilities was to ever come into a I don't know, to put them all together, then you could charge one price, right? You could have a package deal, just like Charter's got a package deal. If you buy their phone, you get this, and you buy that, and you get this, and,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
So-
you get a cheaper price.
So on the utility side, and I'm going to speak specifically to electric, water, wastewater, those are all regulated industries in the state, whether it be at the federal level with TVA or the state level for water and wastewater. Those do not allow for any type of discount to be applied to individual customers within a class. Essentially, no cross subsidization. On the fiber side, so the idea might be that you have internet and phone. Today, there's not a plan for could you receive a discount for getting both services. But to answer your question, yes, that is an option under the fiber division. The part we want to balance, though, is we want to ensure that we do not provide customer A with a different price than we do customer B. We value all of our customers the exact same. And so if you've been with us for 5 years and had internet service, we don't feel it's fair to subsidize your neighbor's bill with the revenue you've provided. And so we want to make sure that those two customers pay the same amount. But could there be a discount for multiple services? Absolutely.
The services is what I'm really looking at. I know I don't know if there's still a deal that the county can't get y'all sewer, or y'all changing to where you can. Still can't, right?
Today, we cannot. As
Okay.
part of our creating document for Cleveland Utilities Authority, we cannot leave the
'Cause
city property.
I'll tell you, one of my goals is, I want to see sewer through the whole county. I'd like to see sewer put through the whole county, and I mean, it's gonna cost a lot of money, but somebody's gonna have to pay for it. But that's one thing I would really like to see, because there's folks out there that's septic. Some of them, we had the septic program, we put over 100 septic systems in. And some of the sewer companies out on 64, the Powassie, they got in on it. They got quite a bit of money out. I know y'all done some lines and stuff too, but that's one of my main concerns as a county, as a person living in the county, and my neighbors say the same thing. Sometimes we have to have our septic tanks pumped out, and it would be nice to have sewer. Y'all could ever get it that way.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Blake, you have anything?
Yeah, so the other thing that's kind of quasi on the agenda, we've chatted with Marshall and Walt a couple of times. There's an opportunity for the county and Adam as well. What he was getting ready to speak to is, connecting obviously here in the courthouse, stairs, down the hallway, over in the annex, the Judicial Center with Sheriff Lawson and his folks. Gala's over there. Any of our facilities, I think is what Marshall alluded to. The nursing home or the Bradley Healthcare, one on Peerless Road. A number of other buildings. Juvenile Center over on Johnson Boulevard is ours. And a number of places, all interconnected with fiber. Right now, I think, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're coax or something like that, which is basically, I think it's 1980s technology or methodology. It goes back to a little copper thing surrounded by a little insulation, what I have. And as you found out, if you remember, when we had the committee, the ad hoc committee for broadband, I specifically asked, and I don't mind mentioning that, Spectrum representative, about the fact that they're trying to upgrade their bandwidth as well, but they're not going to fiber where you and I live. They're going to stay at coax and try to send that kind of bandwidth through an old technology. The law of physics says you can't get anything faster than light. So, I mean, fiber is it. So we have an opportunity, the county does, to take care of, I wouldn't say our buildings, but this building, ones I just mentioned, kind of be a first, I wouldn't call it first customer, but the fault tolerance, in other words, like you said, if something goes down. We have had a couple of cases where we lost internet in this building. I know Donna Simpson, our county clerk, does a lot of business and transactions, uses internet to get, when you're buying, purchasing, pretty much anything you're doing over there, our register of deeds, all that kind of stuff. So they asked us if we would be willing. We have some ARP money, federal money. We've earmarked a certain amount for broadband. We've worked with VEC to get some already out there. We continue to work with VEC, but it may be worthwhile for us to look into taking some of that out of the bucket. It still meets the goal of that it's internet. It's just now we're actually taking care of, quote unquote, our own house a little bit, so that Bradley County government can be a better place or better service for the residents and all the things that we do. So that's kind of the second part of why I asked Chairman Collins to invite Cleveland Utilities so we could chat about that, because we've kind of, at the end of the ARP, phase. We're finishing up. Most of our buckets have been utilized or already appropriated, but if there's an opportunity, the commission, the mayor and Adam agree, this may be the right time for us to use some of that money with Cleveland Utilities and go forward with that. The other thing I would mention, this also came up in meetings over the last couple of years. We've come to discover that the FCC, the Federal Communication up in Washington, whatever, they've got all these wonderful gee whiz maps that aren't worth a beans, in my opinion, because basically they tell a story and they let you believe in something that isn't actually accurate, and that is then that you've got these blocks out there and everybody in that block has internet. Well, that's not true. Everyone has the opportunity, but as we know with there's a couple of examples. One I think of was over on Bridging Crest. Internet is provided for the first 15 houses, but the other houses down the street, well, the ISP tells them that they got to, spend $5,000 or $6,000 on a router in order to get internet. So that will never happen with Cleveland Utilities because of their infrastructure. Because they're getting their lights turned on. That means they get electricity. They're going to be able to have fiber optics. So those county residents, they're in what I call the fortunate situation of, and we know that the ISPs are, VEC has already said they're not going to compete, so to speak, with Spectrum. Spectrum has got their policy, like I just outlined. This eliminates this. So my fellow county commissioners who have a lot of county residents who are Cleveland Utilities, I would think would be for this because now they're basically helping their constituents get, high-speed internet and not go through the pains, if you will, of having to fork out thousands of dollars for a router. So there's that benefit as well. So I just wanted to tee up the idea and see if there's an opportunity to mark. We do have enough money. There's funding in our ARP money in our bucket to do this. But that's what this is all about, the next part of what Marshall's talking about today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Blake.
Are you saying that
Are you saying that what money they got that they're not going to use, we'd like to have back?
Go ahead, I'll let you.
Or are we wanting to give them some more?
Go ahead.
Commissioner Blake is explaining an opportunity where the county could provide that funding to Cleveland Utilities. And what that money would do is it would assist with the ideas he's just presented. A great example.
Adding routers and stuff like that.
What it would do is it would allow us to add additional capacity to make sure that the county has its redundant path to connect all of its buildings together on our network. But then it also is going to aid in building out these areas that are county only. And I think this may be unknown by a lot, but today we serve almost 9,500 customers that are county-only residents. They do not reside in the city. The 4th District is a great example. Today we serve along Benton Pike and Peach Orchard Hill, and we serve those communities there on Old Parksville. All of those are Cleveland Utilities electric customers. And so our plan is to provide fiber internet to each of those homes. There's other examples. You can go down Spring Place Road, where we go well into the county and serve county residents with electric service. This money would then aid us in making sure that we build out the capacity necessary to get to every one of those, but then also have the capacity internally in the core network to serve each and every one of the county buildings that are on the electric footprint and provide that redundant network path back to wherever their core location might be.
So is there some of the bucket money still left in certain places?
Well, we have right at the very beginning of the ARP money, we said one of the main buckets was internet. We've utilized that
Yeah.
already with VEC. I think the Chatham Valley area, they just finished up that not too long ago. So in essence, we're kind of doing what we're basically doing the same thing we did with VEC with Cleveland Utilities. We receive money from the federal government, and our initiative is to get broadband out. Like you said, with respect to sewer,
Yeah.
my goal one day is to get internet to every resident. It's just Bradley County is a big county, and we've got mountains, we've got valleys, and you got to get the infrastructure out there. You got to dig, stuff like that. This would help with those people he just identified that are kind of caught in the crack. They're not in the city, but they're county residents, but they're Cleveland Utility customers.
Okay.
And Spectrum has their policies, right, and it's their right to do so. I mean, and nobody will be denied internet access and be charged a $5,000 rider fee.
So they'll have options of,
Yes, sir.
you
So
know,
basically,
two
we're-
different entities to take whichever one they want. I
And-
love that.
And we
Mr.
found a
Glover,
lot of
we're
times.
basically filling in a gap here.
Competition is always good.
One thing to also add, we found, to Commissioner Blake's point, the FCC map may show that that an entire block is served, and what we find is that our competitor may be on the main road, but they won't take the side road that has 15 homes on it. Today,
Gotcha.
we serve those 15 homes with electric service, and what we've committed to doing is, with help with this funding, we will build to all 15 of those customers, and we won't charge them any installation
And
fee.
you done have the funding.
So,
Yes.
so
Brainer.
the number, just if we're ready to get into that, but to answer your question is, like you said, that you've got, I mean, Spectrum is a business, so they're kind of, fair to say, they're cherry picking their profitable accounts. And those that aren't so profitable or even hurt their business line, they basically say, resident, you're gonna have to pick up the tab in order for us to make it worthwhile. That's basically what they're saying. And this eliminates that. This
And y'all are
says-
gonna put it to them.
Yes.
This basically
Let's do it.
says whether you are profitable or not profitable, you're going to be you're a customer of ours, and we're going to provide internet. The number that we have, I think, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, we have about $1 million left in the internet bucket.
So yeah, let me give some context to
Yeah.
that. If you'll remember back when the buckets were established, 4 million of the 21 million that we received in ARP funding was set aside for the purpose of broadband expansion. All of that money, the commission has voted to commit or allocate, right? There are 3 projects within that bucket. The first is for a 10% match for the state grant that we received a couple of years ago. Those are the projects that are happening in Chatham Valley on the west side of the county. So there's almost $800,000 of the $4 million that's allocated for that. I believe it was last year, back in January of '23, that the commission voted to give to award a 50% matching grant in cooperation with VEC that was almost 2.1 million. In other words, we put up 50% and VEC put up 50%, and that's the project that will be down in the McDonald area. Okay, that then leaves roughly $1.1 million, again out of the $4 million bucket, that right now is earmarked for another 10% match if and when the state ever announces that their grant cycle is going to be opened. We've been waiting since last fall. They've yet to announce that. At some point in the next really 3-4 months, we're going to have to either decide to pull that money and use it elsewhere, which the last discussion about that was to go back to VEC with a 50-50 match again and try to get something out of that, or we now have the option that Commissioner Blake is discussing. So none of that money has actually been spent. Let me be clear about that. If you look at the reports, because they're reimbursable. So the projects aren't done. Nobody's come and said, "Where's my 800? Where's my 1 point or my 2.1?" But if we're talking about what's left to put or invest in this discussion, it's a little over $1.1 million. You know, and let me give you two. When we first sat down and talked about this, probably 6 or 8 months ago now. You know, I'm not an IT guy, right? I'm the department head, and I know enough to be dangerous. But you know, we have contractors and folks that take care of the technical aspects. Commissioner Blake, because of what he does in his day job, is able to obviously speak to a lot of this better than anybody else in the room. But there's really, it boils down to there's 5 really good reasons why we should consider doing this, and I'll give it to you in layman's terms. Number one, it's the reliability, right? The reliability of the network that they're creating, that they're building. Okay, we have had issues in this building and in others with local internet service providers. That's not to say that they'll be perfect, but the network that they are building will be much more reliable than what we're accustomed to. The speed, right? It's incredible. You saw the speeds that they're going to offer. If you're talking about in the city for our buildings, folks are either on AT&T or most are on Spectrum, okay? And they're not able to access those types of speeds that they're going to be able to offer us. So the second reason that this is a good idea is the speed that it'll provide. And that's important because more and more of our county offices are improving their technology, right? Whether it's taking payments online, taking payments in the office, their servers that are being upgraded. All of that requires more speed. As technology advances, the need for speed advances with it. So we would really be in a position of, instead of being behind, we would be taking giant steps forward in what we would be able to offer. From a cybersecurity standpoint, we've talked a lot about that. Having one network and having the reliability will allow us to do some things in the IT room and at the sheriff's office that will really help us from a cybersecurity standpoint. We didn't really talk about this, and it would be hard to quantify it, but there's going to be some cost savings involved. Take aside the upfront investment that we're talking about or we'll talk about potentially in the future, but for these 2 buildings alone, I pay $1,299 a month for internet for these 2 buildings, for the annex and for the courthouse. That's one bill. Every fire station has a bill. The sheriff's office has a bill. Every EMS station, the trustee's office, it's all decentralized. The juvenile center, everybody's paying their own internet bill. We're on one network, we would get one bill. And can you tell us what that might look like price-wise?
Today, if you wanted to take the top service available, it'd be $3.99.
So instead of, again, that blows my mind. I'm paying $1,300 for 2 buildings. There's no telling what we're paying countywide for internet every month, and he just told us we can get it for the entire county for $400 and more speed. So that savings will add up real quick. Now, the financial piece, we would have to work out, one bill versus everybody paying their own. I don't know how that gets budgeted, but that's really the least of our concern. The last thing that I think is going to be super important is just the customer service that Cleveland Utilities is going to be able to provide. If you've ever tried to call an AT&T or a Spectrum, it's a nightmare. I mean, you've got to have the right security code. They won't talk to certain people if you're not on the list. We can call folks that are in our community, that are our neighbors, that have our best interest in mind, and get great customer service very, very quickly. And so those are the five reasons in layman's terms that I think this makes a lot of sense for us to do. And I think it's a great investment in what the county will be able to provide its citizens, and I think it's also going to be a great investment for all the reasons I mentioned.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Commissioner Blake?
I'll just add, the only thing I'd add is this falls within the mission of what we created that bucket for. We're not going outside the scope or anything. It's just that Cleveland Utilities, when we first initiated and put that $4 million in the bucket, they were at the very beginning stages of, they weren't able to have this conversation we've had today back when we first started. So we're within the scope of what we were trying to accomplish with the broadband bucket. So anybody who says, oh, now you're diverting, no, we're not. It's just they're acting as another ISP in front of us. There's a number of ISPs, Spectrum, one of them, VEC is one of them, out of Cleveland Utilities. So I just want to make that very important because this is a political arena sometimes. I want to make sure that there's nobody who thinks that there's any diverting or any misdirecting of what that money was for. The number, just to go, is about 500,000. We have 1.1 million left in the bucket. So if we can appropriate 500,000, maybe a tad bit more, to get all this implemented, and Adam and our engineers and working with Cleveland Utilities on a time frame, I think this will be well worthwhile. So I just want to make sure now you have a number in mind of what we're talking about.
Mr. Chairman, I think,
Sure.
that number too will be based on how many buildings we want to include. So that would be up to us, which county buildings and how many we would want to include. And so I think that's probably a decision that has to be made either by this committee as a recommendation or I don't know, finance maybe. At that point, we would give that number and those locations to these guys, and they could give us a more accurate number. It won't actually be every single building, because if you think about it, we're only talking about buildings that are on the Cleveland Utilities electrical network.
Yeah.
So you're going to have some buildings, some
outside.
fire stations that are in the county, things like that. It won't be a lot, but the vast majority of our buildings will be able to include in this. So I think to get to an accurate number, and that's probably a good starting point, is 500,000. But that number is going to depend on how many buildings and where those locations are.
And for those buildings that do fall outside of our footprint, we do have great partnerships with our surrounding utilities. VEC is one of those, obviously. And so what our network allows us to do is interconnect with their network. And so we might find that it's best to actually lease fiber from VEC to get to a building outside of our footprint and then connect back to us. So these are all the possibilities that you gather by coming on to the Cleveland Utilities fiber network. And the easiest way to think about it, it's really built like a spider web. And if any section of that spider web were to get broken, you could then turn and go another route. And our fiber system is designed in that architecture.
Anything else, Commissioner Blake?
It's certainly, when you're ready, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to get some momentum going on this so that we can get it to the full commission and the mayor and Adam can have some direction whenever ready.
Thank you, Commissioner Blake. We have a motion, I believe, to move that to the full commission. Is that correct?
If you want, yeah. Well, everything has to go to the full commission.
Make a motion to, and let's be specific here. What's our motion to take to the full commission?
I guess, Adam, we're going to do this kind of ad lib, but basically ask the mayor's office, to include you, to work with Cleveland Utilities and bring back a recommendation on the funding pieces, given using the ARP money, the bucket that we've already established, so that we can make a decision on up or down, so to speak. That's vague.
I think we could probably get to a good number within a couple of weeks,
Sure.
don't you?
Absolutely.
But that'd be my motion, is basically ask the mayor's office to work with Cleveland Utilities and bring back some numbers and timetables.
Very good. We have a motion to ask the mayor's office to work with Cleveland Utilities regarding the topic we've talked. We have that motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We have a second from Commissioner Gilbert. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you guys so much for your time today, and I appreciate all that you've done to give us some information, not just for our county, but for our residents as well. Mr. Henderson, you want to speak and close us out?
Sure. Again, great to be with you all this afternoon. As you just listened to Marshall's presentation, a lot of moving parts. I want to make sure that Scott, really speaking to a couple of things you said, the reason for us to get into this business is to provide another opportunity and choice for our customers. And Marshall talked about, and you all know this historically about our organization, we want to provide the highest level of customer service absolutely possible, for us to do. The difference in us in a Charter, a Spectrum, or an AT&T, whoever that competitor might be, is that Cleveland Utilities, we are local. We're going to be there on Guthrie Drive. You can pick up the phone and call us directly. I've said openly in meetings with our competitors that we're going to be competing with for this service. You know, our goal is not to put you out of business. That's really not the intent. Our goal was to provide another choice for our customers. And likewise, it's going to make our system stronger, more reliable, and better from the electric standpoint. So it's a win-win for us as well as an organization. So keep that in mind. And again, we're open to working with you all in any way, shape, or form that we can. So thank you for having us.
Thank you again, Mr. Anderson. Thank you for Cleveland Utilities for your presentation. On the agenda, no other, yes, sir.
One more thing, Denny. We are celebrating Water Week this week. We do that annually, and I've got some T-shirts for you guys that mark that celebration. I'm going to leave that with you all as well.
I'd hope there was
Hope
be a
you've got
slip
a
and
biggie.
slide out front instead of a T-shirt, but thank you so much for that. I don't think there's any other business for this. At this time, we'll allow for communication from the audience, which has grown from 0 to 7. So any communication from the audience? None. Thank you so much. We're adjourned.